Happy New Year, y'all. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late, but I'm excited to get into today's topic with our special guest. I'm going to pin this comment as I wait for our guest to join us. And I hope y'all are having a good start to the year, despite the shenanigans that are going on in our nation's capital. So give me a second to pin this, and hopefully we'll get started. Hello. Hi, Orlando. Hi, Chi. Happy New Year, y'all. I had to do a mood reset to put my wig on, set myself up for a good live. Okay. I think everything here is right. I don't want to have a typo, so let me just make sure I have all of the numbers right. Okay, so I had to shorten the comment a little bit because Instagram won't let me post the whole thing. So PBIN stands for Public Benefits and Insurance Navigators. They're here to help you. So you can call that number 202-745-6151 if you need help with that. And you can also call 202-797-4439 for an appointment for free HIV/STI testing. And we also have COVID-19 testing available, also by appointment only. If you call 202-745-7000 or email appointments@Whitman-Walker.org. Today's topic is about the body image effect and social media for African American women. We have a guest coming in from the Washington DC Alumnae Chapter of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. So I'm really excited to have that conversation. And I can't wait for them to join us. Otherwise, how are y'all? How's your Wednesday? I want to hear from y'all. Oh, for those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Soul. I am one of the social media influencers for community health. I'm also an art educator at Whitman-Walker's New Cultural Center, The Corner, DC. And I'm the host of the Bag series, aka the Badass Girl Group. I can't wait for that to return as well. I'm also the host of Floetic Uptown, which is the youth open mic. So I'm all up and through the Whitman-Walker events and activities. And I'm here for y'all today to have this conversation. Yeah. Yes. Can someone who's watching from the Whitman-Walker team ping Nicole and see if she's still joining us today, so I don't have to end the live to contact them? Maybe I'm wrong. Am I supposed to be on their page? Oh, man. No? I think I'm right. Hi, Lisa. Congratulations on your new marriage. I wish you nothing but the blessings on your union. I hope you had a nice celebration and a good year and holiday season. Let's see who else is in here. Hey, Mo. There's so much I could say, but this is not the platform for it right now. But if y'all are interested in my personal thoughts and opinions, feel free to follow me at Sollikesoul, and we can have dialogue on all things. On all things. Well, yes. Okay, our guest is here. We'll get started in just a second. I'm feeling...
Hi.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Nice to virtually meet
Yeah, it's nice to meet you virtually.
you. So welcome. Thank you for taking time to come with us. I already introduced myself a little, so if you want to go.
What did you give in your intro?
like the work that I do with women. I was supposed to say my pronouns, but I didn't. My pronouns are she, them.
Okay. My like thing is messing up. Okay. I am Nicole Cammack. I am a member of the Washington DC Alumnae Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. And I'm happy to be here today. So I know we're having like these monthly conversations on the first Wednesday of each month. A little bit about me. I am a clinical psychologist here in the DC area. Um, and I guess we're here to talk about the body effect and all of those pieces today. It's interesting because when I was in graduate school, I actually worked at Whitman-Walker on a research study there. So I was like, oh, this comes back full circle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to
Yeah.
have on the body. Um, some of you may not know, but Whitman-Walker Health Clinic offer behavior support, depression, suicide, and other concerns. Nicole, could you tell us a little bit about how social media has an effect on African American women and their body image?
Okay, so we jumping in. All right, so this is an interesting question because as we were planning for the event and thinking about body image, one of the things that came to mind is like, which is different probably generations before this, is like what influence does social media have on body image? So we think about, if you look at the images that come across, it's like it gives you that sense of like you have to be perfect, right? So as you're thinking about your body, everyone, I guess depending on culturally and what you value, but there is this big thing on like accentuating certain parts of your body. But then also, you know, you have to have a small waist and you have to look this way. And people who look a certain way, it's sort of rewarded because you get more likes. So you start to think about what does that do to even like young kids as they're on social media, like what does that do to how you think about your body? What do you think is beautiful? Because someone can be totally comfortable and then it's like, well, no one's liking my picture. No one's like giving me the attention that I need. And so there's this cycle where you get the feedback based on, you know, looking a certain way. I often like look at people and I'm like, dang, everybody looking the same now. You know, you
Yeah.
start to see is like, oh, who is that again? Like, cause oh, I'm on Delta things, so let me not say, but I'll be on certain like sites and it's like, oh, who is that? Because they all start to look the same because people are trying to achieve this image. And so in some ways you may lose some of that individuality. You may lose people being comfortable with themselves. And so I think it has to be a balance between what we see on media, social media, and like what you think about yourself.
Yeah, I think on social media, oh my God, these women all look the same. And like sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I looked like that. Or like, what can I do to get the slim waist and like the curvy body as well? But uh,
Yeah.
one of my goals this year is to like just love the body that I'm in because like I can do things to change it, but it might not look the way that society is to look, you know.
Yeah, and thinking about that, I know this is maybe off our scripts, but in
Like,
thinking about that, one of the did you see the post recently that Lizzo did with like the body positivity and really just honoring your body for where it is at this point? And it's like we can all go through these cycles of like, oh, I want to lose weight or I want to have the curves or I want to do this. But then there's also power in just honoring the body that you have and that whatever it helps you to achieve at this point before going to like those next steps.
yeah. So let's get into these questions.
Yes.
What is the body effect?
So I think it's exactly what we're talking about. Like as you start to think through, like what are these different things that influence what we think about our body and how does it affect us? So social media being one image, but or one sort of media outlet, but think about what we see in movies. What do you see on commercials even? What do you see in print magazines? And it's all of these images and messages that we get about bodies and what they should look like. I mean, even when you can't visually see it, like some songs are descriptive about what we should be, how we should look, what you should do with your body. And
Yeah.
then, this is something that I was naive to, but just how many people are even doing work on their body to achieve that look. I didn't realize like how many people are doing that now. And it's like all of these things are influencing us to the point where it can even cloud your own judgment about, well, what do I think is beautiful? Like, am I okay with my body the way that it is? It's almost like if you're not careful, it can influence your thoughts to where it's not even your original thought. You're just being influenced by what you're seeing. And so when we think about the body effect, I think it's all of these things that come into play, which influence how we feel about our body.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I think, especially like when I was in high school, I don't even think I thought about like what type of body image I wanted. I just knew that I
Yeah.
wanted it. But then like the with social media becoming so much more popular and like I said earlier, this specific type of body being like more amplified and highlighted, I think it became a thought without me even noticing
Mhm.
that that's the image that I wanted to achieve. So yeah.
Right. It's like it just seeps into your unconscious. And then that in turn can influence even how you feel because it like gives you a sense of failure about something that is like, I wasn't even trying to get that, or I didn't realize that was something that I wanted. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. So like where standards of body norms, and you think they're
Mhm.
different race, culture, age?
Um, I think it's all of it. I really do. I think it's um, our culture, like what are the norms within the cultures that we're a part of. And that can even vary. Like oftentimes, what something is, um, I don't think I can. Okay. Oftentimes, what is normed within one culture or one group might feel very different from another group. I think it's those indirect messages that we sometimes get. So, like, you know how family can do you. I just saw the post like during the holiday season where you go visit family or around people, they're like, you put on weight. Or you wear something and it's like, you sure you want to wear that? And you get that sort of, that's the feedback right there, like, oh, this must not be right. Or
Yeah.
when you look a certain way and you're getting that positive feedback, even being like, okay, so I guess this is okay. So some of it is the feedback, whether it's direct or indirect. I think some of it is also what people say. It can be, or that's a part of the direct or indirect. So what are they saying? But also like what you see. So what do people look like around you? Those are some of the norms. Like that's how we start to say, well, you look at your family, you look at your friends, you look at the people you spend the most amount of time with when you're growing up. And it's like, oh, that's how you start to look at yourself as a part of that. I do think that as people get older, your circles change and maybe what you think your body should be changes as well, right? So maybe what I wanted to look like in high school felt different when I'm a woman of a certain age. I want to look a certain way. And maybe that's where I get those standards of beauty. So I think it's like all around us. And as you're thinking about, I'm glad we're having a conversation because even as a parent is like starting young, what are those messages you're telling your children, whether it's direct or indirect? How are you telling them what they should look like? And even with kids, let's not, gloss over it. People will shame your kids if they don't look a certain way. Like, oh,
Yeah.
she eating real good, huh? Like she's a child.
Yeah.
But those
Yeah.
are the ways that we start to get those like messages very early on.
Mm-hmm. I think also they're like affected by like sometimes the way my family members are like you said, at functions or like holiday events, or you see your aunts for after a certain time, they're like, oh, you gained a little weight, or like, oh, you lost a lot of weight, like what's going on, are you not eating? Like even things like that can lead to you feeling a certain way about your body. It's not always about like being fit or like being curvy. So, like people will judge you for not having enough weight, you know?
Right. So growing up, like I've always been like super skinny and small. And like for me, it was always like, oh, you stick and bones, and it's like the other end of that where it's like, well, it's nothing I can do. I can't make myself be a certain way. But then you start to feel like you can start feeling insecure even about that. Like, well, maybe I need to eat some more so that I can gain weight or so that I can get bigger to fit this image that people want. And again, it starts to influence what you feel um, is healthy or best for you.
Yeah. So what role do you think that social media plays in how we feel about
Yeah, I think it like goes a little like what we were saying earlier, just in terms of like the images, the likes, the comments that people make. It's like that reinforcement that you get for looking a certain way. So, that's what it is. It's like if I post a picture and I look a certain way, and, even people, they're going to give you comments. That's feedback. They're going to like your photos. That's feedback. If someone has a baby and then the next image is them looking a certain way, you're going to get there. Oh, you snatched. You look good. Snap back, this and that. And then it makes someone who maybe it's taking me a little longer to lose my baby weight start feeling insecure, start feeling like, well, maybe I can't post that, or I don't want people to see me. Like someone may start gaining weight and it's like, I don't want people to see it because people may ask questions, which is also going to make you feel insecure. So I think that social media, it gives people like that direct contact to comment on you because you're opening yourself up to it. And so that's your personal stuff, but I do also think it's like the images that you see as well.
Yeah. Someone in the comments, Sassy Six Duck, asked what happens when the comments start getting mean.
Aww. Well, it does happen, right? And so that's when you start to think about, well, what does that do to the person? And unfortunately, you're going to see that across the age span where it's going to happen to younger kids. You're going to see it happen to adults. And people, some people may be able to separate it and see like something's wrong with that person type of thing. Like, oh, they're being disrespectful or something's wrong with them or they're feeling insecure. But for some people, those words are going to keep replaying.
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel like something's wrong with me. Now I feel like I got to lose some weight. I got to get it together. I'm not good enough. I don't want to post anything. I don't feel comfortable in my body. And so we have to be careful of those messages because it can start to impact how you feel, not just how you feel about your body or your image. It's about how I just feel. So now I'm noticing that my mood is low. I don't want to be around people. I don't want to do as much. I'm not as active as I used to be. I'm down on myself. I'm talking more negatively to myself. And those are the ways that it can start to spiral beyond just what we see on social media.
Yeah. Those comments too. It's just important to like affirm yourself and delete those types of comments from your personal page or whatever page it is that you're on, so that you're not um, seeing negative, negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something I'll tell people too is like, you also can control your social media. And so not just the comments, but if someone is posting something and you're noticing that it's triggering certain negative feelings for yourself, or you have like a negative response when you see it, you are in total control to unfollow, to mute the person if you feel like I don't want them to be upset with me. But start to like do inventory over your own social media and what you're taking in, because we often think about what we intake in terms of food, but what are you intaking in terms of the messages, the images, the feelings, what people are sharing on social media, and how that makes you feel as well. Get
Yeah.
rid
Don't
of them.
be afraid to block people.
Bye.
Block. Okay, so can you talk to us a little bit about how the body effect affects your mood?
hmm So that's like a little what I was saying. Like, I think it can start to impact just how you're feeling, um, how, if you're thinking about mood, is like, do you feel sad more? Do you notice like you don't have the confidence as much? Or for some people, it can even be like it increases their worries, like, I got to get it right. I got to get this. I'm not good enough. And so I would take, a sort of monitor, how am I feeling before I get on here, and how do I feel when I get off? And if I feel worse when I get off, that's a good indicator that you need to either delete some people, block some people, or maybe you need to take a break from social media. But
Right.
those words, those images, the comments, the lack of engagement from people, feeling like I'm not, able to stand up to the people that I see on social media, those messages will continue to play and replay after you get off. And it is going to impact how you feel about yourself and being around other people. And so be mindful of that.
Sassy Six Duck also had another question. How can we as adult women change our words for younger women not to add to this problem?
Okay, adult women, can we start with y'all? Like, number one, stop with the comments. Like, I just don't know. It's interesting. Like, why are you this comfortable commenting on someone else's body?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're not in that position. Like, if you're a parent and you're concerned about your child's weight, that is totally different from commenting about their body. Or even the way, I guess this kind of goes into body image too, like how sometimes comments, I don't know, I'm like real particular with the words, but people will used to use little words about my daughter, like, oh, she looks sexy. No, she doesn't. She
Right.
looks like a child in a cute little dress. That's what she
Yeah.
looks like. But being mindful of, are you saying words that are more criticizing a person or a child? Are you critiquing everything that they have on? Are you trying to control like their clothing, or whatever it is about their body? And how can you, if you are, how can you stop that, replace it, and insert some words that affirms where they are? Like, we have to think about it from a perspective of building our young girls up, so as adults they can feel more confident in who they are. And so being able to give those positive comments and telling them, oh, you look so, like whatever it is about them, commenting on it, and not necessarily commenting about their body, but about the person. I think the message does have to be just affirming, like, appreciate your body, and going through the whole body positivity, where appreciate your body for what it does for you, or using a different perspective of like, how do we make sure we're taking care of ourselves? Like, we have to nourish our body, we have to exercise. And when we think of it that way, it's more about the health benefits. We're doing this because you want to feel healthy. When you take care of your body, when you exercise, when you eat, when you drink water, when you get enough sleep, then you're going to feel better, right? So that is more about health versus how do you look. And we often confuse it, where it's like, well, you need to lose weight so you can look this. No, that's not what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even like turning your comments into questions that can allow the younger women to affirm themselves, or like tell you themselves maybe what they're struggling with, and then it can turn into a conversation about how you can help the younger woman like feel better about their body or get healthy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. Like, have them, because then in that way they're also learning themselves and able to share that with you in that way.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So next question. So now we're going into thinking about, as people go through different transitions, and thinking about transitioning bodies. And so in that, including like after giving childbirth, gender reassignment, and postmenopausal bodies, like as we think about transitioning bodies, just as a point of discussion, but also how does those transitions start to influence or impact a person?
Yeah, I think all of those things are things that can change the way somebody's body may look or feel. And this can cause somebody to go through a range of emotions, and that's normal. But finding support, healthy ways to cope through all is important, whether that support is from loved ones or speaking with a therapist or participating in support groups. I think that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I guess that also goes back to like appreciating your body. Like when you think about childbirth, and see this, that snapback comment again, but
Yeah.
like when you think about childbirth, like the idea that your body helped you to hold, you know, you held this child and you carried this child for this amount of time and you were able to give birth, and honoring your body for what it was able to get you through. But then the other side of that is, how do you feel when it's like, am I not getting back to myself in a fast enough pace, or is my body different? And I know that that does impact you. Like, as much as we want to be like, accept your body, you may notice like, I don't feel like myself. Or, you know, even being postmenopausal, like maybe it takes longer to lose weight, or you have to do more in order to, you know, to stay or maintain a certain weight. And just recognizing that that can have an impact. It can change how you feel about yourself. You can, I mean, realistically, you get sad when your body isn't what you think it should be. And I guess the idea with all of that is just, if you're noticing this, what can you do? You don't want to get stuck in that place. And I think sometimes we can get stuck in those cycles. And instead of being stuck there, like sort of think of that as like a warning signal, like, oh, there's some things I need to do because I don't want this to get worse. And so it could be seeking additional support from friends. If it feels like, you know, get you some buddies, like, okay, do we need to go work out together? I need an accountability partner. But it also could be talking to a nutritionist. Like, are there things that you need to consider for your body as you go through different stages? So I was just telling someone this earlier, like, since September, I've probably worked out the most I've ever worked out. Like, because what else I'm doing?
Yeah.
5 days a week, right? Consistently. But
Yeah.
what I also have noticed is like, if I would have done this, like, you know, before, I would look a certain way. The results of that consistency would look a certain way. And I just had to be like, okay, it's also a pandemic. You're not walking as much. You're not moving as much. You're in the house more. And so if I want to achieve if I have a certain goal of where I want to be, then I need to reassess. Maybe I really do have to, because before I would kind of cheat and still kind of eat what I wanted. Like, okay, well, you're doing less work, girl. So you're going to have to give up them sweets, or, you know, I need to be more active and intentional about walking more because I'm not getting that. So really being able to reassess, like, what do I need to change? And maybe a doctor can help you with some of that. And then the last piece I think you mentioned, like, if you're feeling like it's just becoming consuming and it's really impacting how you feel, that may be a sign, like, should you seek additional support through a therapist and being able to work through some of that stuff so that it doesn't consume your life.
Yeah. And I think this pandemic is also like a transitional time for people. Like people had gone from like being active and being out often or even working, and then going from being employed to unemployed. Like that definitely can change how your body looks, how your mood, like how your mood is. Like obviously like your mood can affect how you're eating and how you're taking care of yourself. So yeah, definitely looking for support in those ways, and like you said, getting partners and talking to nutritionists and like changing your diet if
Yeah.
you know you need to make a change for your body is important.
I like how you talked about it as like a transitioning body period, because it is, right? Like, it's so different. It's a huge
Yeah.
transition now. So, and another thing it made me think about is that as we're in this heightened sense of, you know, state of stress, and even think about, like, you're in DC too, right? Like, you're in the area.
I'm married.
What's going on around us? It's like, it's just been thing after thing after thing. So we're saying
Yeah.
like, over in a pandemic, but everything else has also been building throughout this year. And in DC, we've had protests going on for so long, you know, over the last year. what's happening today, like less than a mile from my house. And so when you start to think about the impact of stress on the body and what that does, and how it's like harder to lose weight when you're in those states of heightened stress, is a whole other thing to consider as we're going through this transitioning period, and what the result of that could look like for your body. But then also stress eating, because life.
Yeah.
um, so yeah.
I can definitely relate to stress eating, especially at the beginning of this pandemic. And I didn't even think about it as stress eating, but I was like, oh, I have all of this time to cook new things. And I could like cook all of my favorite things. So I'm eating everything. And when you're watching TV, you have to have a snack or like, and then you notice like, oh, this is not really my routine. This isn't what I'm used to doing. And that's why I'm like gaining all of this weight. And that's why I'm feeling this way about my body.
Yep.
Crazy. Or like I've also been like telling people and also telling myself to just like give yourself grace, because
That
this
is
is,
my favorite word during this season. I'm so glad you said that.
yeah, it's such an uncertain time.
Yes, and we're all dealing with something that is like we've never been through, and it's like you can't expect yourself to just, like, we have these expectations, I'm gonna go through this and I'm gonna be good. Like, you don't know. Like, give yourself that grace, because it's hard.
Yeah,
Acknowledge what it is that we're experiencing.
yeah.
um okay, so all right. So does trauma or other mental health disorders affect unhealthy eating and physical activity lifestyles?
Yes, trauma and other mental health disorders can affect the way one may eat or how physically active one might be, like we just were talking about. Um,
Mm-hmm.
cope with trauma or stress, an individual may choose to eat or to make them feel better, and this is known as binge eating. Mental health disorders such as anorexia or how eat and cause them to be excessively active. Anorexia themselves as over when they're extremely underweight, and to fight this, they may choose to restrict eating, themselves to or use laxatives. Um, which individual will have frequent and recurrent episodes of eating unusually large amounts of food and then feeling a lack of control over these episodes. And then this is often followed by a behavior to compensate for the such as vomiting or again excessive exercise. And these disorders can affect anybody of any age.
Yeah, and that's a good one too, because we often don't talk about eating disorders in the Black community as if it's something that we don't experience, and we do. And thinking about it, I think oftentimes we think about like restricting food, like, anorexia or something like that, but like binge eating is a thing, and binging and purging, and again, what influences the decision to do that, whether it's an internal thing or if it's influenced by the images that we see. It can also, like, mental health components associated with it. So that anxiety, that need for perfection. Um, Even I've worked with people where there was an overlap between like, it almost was more about like the process of it, like it was connected to like OCD behaviors, like it just was more ritualistic. um yeah. So am I up next? Oh yes. All right. So when and how do you decide what is a healthy place for your body?
I think everybody's lifestyle is different. So like what works for me might be, but
Mm-hmm.
with a provider who can help you figure out what your body is to just keep in mind know yourself better and how you your provider. So if something doesn't feel right, uh, don't like figure out what is you need to make, and if you need to speak to a healthcare provider to do that, you can do that. Um, what about
Okay.
you?
um I think for me, like Okay, I'm one of those people. I do not own a scale. I just don't,
Me,
because I just don't, because I feel like that would probably make me like more crazy about it in a way. Like, oh my goodness, the number isn't right. It's more about what do I feel like. Like, if I get more concerned if like I normally could run from here to there and I'm walking and I'm getting out of breath, or if I feel more sluggish, um or even if my jeans, like if they're not fitting the way that I'm like, oh, I feel uncomfortable, like this. And that happened to me during quarantine, like that was part of like September, like, girl, you better exercise. Because
yeah.
little things like wearing leggings every day and just professional up top, and then like putting on jeans and being like, whoa, what happened?
These don't fit the same.
Yes, or like one day I was like, oh, I'm gonna, I'm going to dress up, like wear my work clothes, because I do feel like there is something in like dressing the part, looking the part, and not just like, I can't just get caught up in I'm working from home quarantine lifestyle. And I put on them work clothes, which don't have as much stretch as like jeans, and was like, girl, no. So it's like those type of indicators for me is more about like, what is my endurance like? How do I feel? And when I work out, I know not just physically how I look, I know I feel better mentally. So it starts to be like a space where I can release the thoughts, I can release the stress. And those are the things that I sort of use as my indicators of this is a healthy space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask that this as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, right. So that all goes into like that. So I guess if people want to add to the comments about like what helps you guide that decision, and I see like the waist beads, and I'm gonna be like transparent with y'all. So I have some waist beads, right? But I told myself, girl, you're gonna work out first and then put the waist beads on.
Me too, and they popped over like I don't know, maybe like a year ago, and I was like, I'm just not gonna do that to
Mm-hmm.
my head because it's like when you see them pop, it's like, dang, I guess I guess I am gaining weight, but they're cute.
They're cute.
They are
So
cute.
I was like, I'm gonna get a certain way, and then I'm gonna put the beads on, so then I could be like, oh, look at my waist beads.
Yeah,
Um, so that helps me, guy. I don't have friends. Maybe they say when I'm not around, but I don't have like friends who comment on my weight per se. I'm trying to think. Like, I haven't had that experience with friends, because again, you can pick your friends the same way you can on social media. So if your friends are making you feel a certain way, that's an indicator.
that's true.
Mm-hmm. And then like clothes size, like I'm just not. I mean, I know me. I'm not buying a bigger size like that. For me, that would be like you gonna put them leggings on and get back in them other clothes.
Yeah, all my clothes are usually like oversized anyway. So like when I start to like get into some oversized pants and they're tight, I'm like, oh whoa,
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
we need to
Yeah.
out because I just like baggy clothes. I'm a comfort over style type of person anyway. So over the pandemic, there were some jeans that were like larger that I was like, oh, these are getting tight. Like,
That's
okay,
a good one.
gotta figure out what to do. And then I asked one of my friends if we could start working out together, and we did. So yeah,
I like that, like have the baggier clothes. So then it's like, even it's the same thing. Like if it starts to feel tighter, it's still an indicator like, okay, let me
yeah,
do something.
exactly.
Hmm. But yes, I don't know if people want to add in the comments, like if there are any other things that influence, like, or guides your decision about what's that healthy place for your body. But I would just encourage people, like, be in tune with your body. You know how you feel. When do you feel your best? What are you doing? What are the things that you're doing that helps you feel your best? And so, you know, are you eating certain foods? Are you exercising? Are you drinking more water? Things that could easily get lost during this time, and just being intentional about it. So I like started some days when I'm being good, so it's not every day. I'll, like, in the same way that I would prepare stuff for work and have like, okay, these are my healthy snacks prepared. I'll just do it because it's like if it's already there, I'm more likely to eat that than something else.
Yeah, to like
Uh-huh.
out. Meal prep
Uh-huh.
is really a good way to stay on top of.
Yeah. I I can't get to it. I think they want us to pin something, a survey.
Um,
Sassy Six Duck. There we go.
okay. Do you have any weight or exercise goals for your current body?
Yes. Okay, so so I did like you, which I've never done before. I have an accountability partner. So one of my line sisters
Oh,
is workout regimen that she was starting. And in September, it was like, okay, let's do it together. So we're both going to, it's a workout 5 days a week. They give you exercise. And then we started, some days we would do like Zoom together. So even though you're separate, we're like going at our own pace doing it. So part of the goal for me was like, I just got to build up. That's what I mean about like that stamina, that endurance. I have a 7-year-old. She's very active. And, you know, we take walks or play outside, and it's like, I'm getting out of breath. I'm tired. I can't do that. So I started working out, but then when I realized it wasn't moving as quickly as in the past, uh, like last week, I started being like, okay, I look at my watch. So I have you know how it tracks all your stuff. And
mhm.
it's like, my goal is just to be more active, to move around more. So I was getting stuck in this place where, like, I worked in a hospital. I'm working from home. So I'm not like, you know, in a hospital, you like all around, walking upstairs, coming down, doing all of this stuff. And it's like, I just need to move more. And so in whatever exercise I do, I also want to walk so that I can feel healthier, and that my clothes can fit the way I want them to fit. So those are my goals. I don't have a number because I don't have a scale to weigh it on. So it's just on, which is lovely. So it's just on like how I feel and feeling confident in my body. And the thing that gives me the reward, even though I don't have a scale, is like, oh, my muscles are coming back. Or I
Mhm.
can look in my back and see like, oh, I got a little definition right there. Okay, I'm doing the right thing. So it's more about those pieces for me than it is. And did I say fit my clothes to fit right? Than a weight. So yes. What about you? What are your goals for your current body?
I think my goals are similar to be more active, but I also want to be able to get back into dancing. I used to dance a lot when I was younger and like could keep going and not feel as super tired. And now I can't even get through one song, like with full choreography, trying to without getting out of breath. So like that's one of my main goals, to be able to like dance consistently through like multiple songs, feeling super winded, get some upper body strength because I feel like I have zero.
Yeah.
Strength
And dance is a good exercise too, because you're right. Like that's gonna test your endurance and your stamina and get your heart rate up and all that good stuff.
yeah, and it's just fun.
It's fun. And a
release
release.
endorphins. Yeah, exactly. You release endorphins. You get to shake out like all of the different emotions that you might be feeling throughout the day. So that's, I don't have a like weight goal either. I do know that I want to be able to fit my clothes in a certain way. And I want to be able to pop out this summer. Maybe not snatched, but like
But looking good.
I want to look good in my clothes.
Right, because that's the other thing. We'll say like, we'll know when outside gonna open, but when it do, we're gonna be ready.
Exactly.
And I think the important thing for both of us, like as we're mentioning, is like it's not about what we see someone else doing, or we're not measuring it against anyone else. It's only being measured against ourselves and what feels healthy for us. And I think that's part of the focus that we want people to get. Like these images, the comparisons, the I wish, the longing for someone else's body, that's not your norm. That's not your healthy. Figure out what works for your body. Figure out when you feel your best. Figure out, when you feel your healthiest, and that's what you aim for.
Right. Because there's a difference between healthy weight and desired weight, right?
Yes. Yes. And that can go. I was thinking, because now I'm thinking about how you mentioned the eating disorders earlier, but even for that, right? Like, you can be underweight, and that's not a healthy weight. And people will very well feel like, oh, I look good. And it's like, okay, but you're not at a healthy weight. When I was at GW, I had never seen this before either. But there were students who would literally go from like the treadmill to the stair climber to the bike, and they were like bones. I'm like looking at them, what are they doing? And it was something that I hadn't been exposed to. So I think that, figuring out what is your healthy weight and sort of aiming for that, and not just this desired weight that may not be healthy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the last thing that we have is thinking about positive body affirmations, which is something I haven't done, but maybe I need to add this to the mix.
Yes.
So here are some positive body affirmations, and I guess if people have other ones, they can add them. But I love my body and I love myself. I am perfect and complete just the way I am. My body is a vessel for my awesomeness. I like that one. I
Yes.
eat a variety of foods for my health, wellness, and enjoyment.
Yes. I love that they added enjoyment at the end of that last affirmation too, because it doesn't always have to be about health and wellness.
Right.
Always treat yourself to something. It's everything in moderation.
Right. Because I'm not giving up the sweets at all. Like, I'm going to modify, but I need my sweets.
Yeah, not big like sticky notes. So even writing these affirmations on your sticky notes and putting them around your mirror, like your room mirror and your bathroom mirror as well, or like even next to your bed. I have a sticky note next to my bed that's not about my body, but I wake up and I see it every day, and I'm just like reminded to get up and do what I said I would do.
Oh, I love that.
So it's
And
like,
you read it every morning?
yeah, because I usually face the wall. I like wake up and like see the wall, so it's right there. I'm just reminded to like keep to what I said I was going to do, whatever.
I love that.
So like tomorrow it might be, remember I had this conversation on IG Live to keep active. So like get up, dance a little bit.
And
Well,
do what you said you were going to do.
exactly. Yeah.
She said to, yeah. So for the people, like, they want us to remind you to take the survey that's pinned at the bottom. So yeah.
Yeah. Feel free to copy and paste it from the comments. But thank you so much for being here and sharing that information with us. Do you have anything else that you want to share before we get off?
Yes, well, thank you. This was a good discussion. I'm glad that we had it. I'm gonna practice. I like the whole post-it notes and like putting the messages up. So maybe when I'm doing my workout, I can have some positive encouragement as I'm doing it. But thank you to you and Whitman-Walker for allowing the Washington DC Alumnae Chapter. This is a part of our International Awareness and Involvement Committee and our Journey to Wellness Committee of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated to be involved in these awesome events. And so if people can take a moment to complete that survey and then come back, because every Wednesday, so the first Wednesday of each month at 6:30 p.m., we have these discussions. And so the next topic is dating during COVID.
Ooh.
Exactly.
I'll be. What does that look like right now?
What does that look like? And I'll be tuned in too. And so make sure you come back for that first Wednesday of the month of February to be a part of that discussion. So thank you.
Yes, and don't forget to follow them on Twitter at WDCACDST. Thank you again for joining us for this special Women's Wednesday segment. We look forward to continuing the collaboration and prioritizing our community. Make sure you continue to follow Whitman-Walker on Twitter, Facebook, and IG, as well as Real Talk DC _ to stay up to date with all things Whitman-Walker Health. And if you need any assistance, if you're sad or need support with any of these circumstances with body image, you can always reach out to Whitman-Walker and call them at 202-797-4409. It's so great talking to you,
It was
Nicole.
great talking to you as well. Thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.